This week has been a really busy week in OnPassive. As most of you know, Ash Mufareh has been under the weather for about 4 weeks. And this week he got in front of the founders about 3 times. And each time I saw him, his countenance, the way he looked, just got better and better and better. And I really think Ash getting in front of the founding members was what he needed. That's the pill he needed. Because you could see his energy level went up, his color got better. And he's just feeling a lot better today than he was, say, a week or two ago. Now, he and his family, they're doing very well. Praise be to God. His wife and his kids, they're absolutely perfect. They're fine. They're recovered. No problem at all. Ash is still not quite 100%, but you could tell by the end of the week he was ready to rock and roll. And Ash shared a lot of things with us over the course of this last week. And all of it was relevant. He talked about earnings, relevant. He talked about product, relevant. He talked about corporate offices, relevant. He talked about staffing, relevant. He talked about traffic, relevant. He talked about marketing campaigns, relevant. Everything he talked about, earnings, really relevant in my mind, but everything he talked about was spot on, and it's stuff that we needed to hear. Did he talk about the one thing everybody wanted to hear? When is the launch of OnPassive? And before I go there, I want to put a mental picture in your mind, and then we'll get to that. Have you ever been on a long road trip? I mean, a journey. Maybe it was 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And you get to that point where you're driving and it seems like you've been driving forever and you're really not quite sure where you are, and you just keep driving and driving. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a mile marker. You're looking for something to tell you where you're at. And as you're driving, as you're on this journey, you get to the point where you go, did I miss something? Am I where I need to be? Do I need to turn around? Do I need to go back and kind of find a landmark or something to tell me where I'm at? And you get to that point and you're driving and you're driving and you're not seeing it. And you're going, man, I got to turn around. I think I'm lost. And you're about ready to turn on, and that mile marker comes up. And all of a sudden, all that anxiety, all that frustration, it just dissipates. And you sit back and you continue to drive, and you're almost at the end of the journey. Or with OnPassive, that you're almost starting the journey. And you can see that mile marker. And as you get closer to it, all of a sudden you see what you've been looking for hundreds of miles. And it's Paradise, North Carolina, 230 miles. Okay? And when you see that, you're almost at the end of the journey. And when we're talking about OnPassive, we're talking about the beginning of the journey. 230 miles, you've been driving for 5, 6, 7 days. That's a piece of cake. You can do that in your sleep, and you continue to drive. Now, if you're going over the Continental Divide in Colorado, there are some things that can happen. You could get into a rock slide. You could get into a herd of elk crossing the highway. And some of the herds of elk in Colorado, they're pretty big. It might take half hour, 45 minutes for those elk to pass. But you know where you're at. You know where you're going. You know it's 230 miles to Paradise, North Carolina. And everything is good. You know what's happening. You know where you're going. And if you keep that vision in your mind, you're going to understand what I'm going to be talking about as I talk about Ash and what he shared with us. Now, if you came on some of the webinars that Ash were on this last week, and I think there were 3 of them, and you thought Ash was going to come on and he was going to be a totally different man. He was going to come on and he was going to talk just the way you wanted him to talk. He was going to be very specific for you, and you were just going to know everything. That did not happen. But I can tell you flat out that Ash put those mile markers out there for us all to see and understand. And yes, we've got 230 miles to Paradise, North Carolina, okay? And when I talk about the mile markers that Ash put out there, we know there are certain things that have to happen within OnPassive to go into the soft launch and then the hard launch. And if you're a founding member of OnPassive, you know we're in pre-launch, we go into soft launch, then hard launch. And I'm not going to explain those on this video. If you're a founder, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in order to go into the soft launch, a few things have to happen. Now, Ash talked about those things. Number one, the back office for the founding members, that has to change, has to be ready to go. Ash talked about that. And if you listen closely enough, he even gave you a time span on when that's going to happen. Again, we're 230 miles from Paradise, North Carolina, okay? We know when that's going to happen, but it's more than that. Ash even gave us some mile markers to the hard launch, if you were listening. So as we listen to Ash, Ash is Ash. He is our genius. I do not want Ash to change. I do not want him to come out and say, listen, guys, we're going into the soft launch the 25th of August, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or we're going into soft launch September 3rd, 6:30 in the evening, Mountain Standard Time. That's not Ash. That's not what he's going to do. You are not going to hear that from Ash, nor should you, okay? This is not an exact science. It's like going over the Continental Divide and having a herd of elk go past. It might be 6 elk, they go by and I'm on my way. But it could be a herd that could last an hour and a half. I don't know. What is that going to do to me? It's going to delay me getting to Paradise, North Carolina a little bit. Not much at all. But I know where I'm at and where I'm going. And if you understand that, although Ash is never going to come out and tell us we're going into soft launch September 6th at noon and just get ready for it. He's not going to do that. But he's given us the mile markers. And if you've listened to Ash, if you listen to him closely, he gave us the mile markers to tell us exactly where we are and exactly where we're going. And there's a time frame in there, okay? So Ash, although he came on, he looked great. The last meeting, he had so much energy. I thought he was going to come through the screen. But he looks absolutely terrific. Terrific. Is he 100%? Not quite yet, but he's getting there. I can see it. His complexion was just so much better that last day that we saw him. But the things he shared with us all this week, and there were a lot of them, I went over them, they're all very, very relevant. But what everybody wanted to hear was the mile marker. Where are we, where we're going, and when will we get there? If you understand Ash, if you listen to Ash, you know where that mile marker is, where we're at, where we're going, and when we're going to get there. Give or take, okay? So Ash, as he came on, because he was with the founders again, because he's back into what he loves to do, which is to get OnPassive that place where we're launching to the world, the global launch to the world. I can tell you the soft launch, he is not concerned about that one bit, not even a little bit. I don't even think he thinks about it. Something he's going to do, but he's doing it to get to that place where we're doing the global launch very, very quickly. So everything that we heard from Ash in this last week, the 3 or 4 times he was in front of founding members of OnPassive, it was awesome, guys. It was absolutely awesome. He is so excited where we're at, where we're going. He talked about things I've never heard him talk about before. And he was pretty specific on some of this stuff. But the one thing that everybody wanted to hear, where are we? When are we going into the global launch? It's all there if you listen to it. So, as Ash came on, he's doing a lot better. He's glad he's out of the hospital, back in the saddle, and working on OnPassive, working with the founding members, And we're glad he's back too. Everybody on the meeting was really, really up key, ready to go, ready to rock and roll, ready to get this thing to that place where we're going into the global launch and just exploding to the world. It was a really, really good week. Ash was in not rare form, but really, really good form. He's always good when he comes on and does these webinars. But if you listen closely enough, you know we're at a place that is unique, and you can get ready for your life to change, in my opinion, okay? So I absolutely loved Ash coming on. I'm glad to see he and his family doing much, much better. And on Passive, the future is bright, guys. Like I said, lives are going to change, and we don't have that much longer to wait. We are very, very close to Paradise, North Carolina. It's a good place to be, and we know the distance we have to travel. So if you didn't listen to Ash this week, you missed something special. But be assured, we're right where we need to be. We're very, very close. And those mile markers, they're coming up real quick. So that's it for this week, guys. I just wanted to do a quick review of the week, listening to Ash, what he had to say, which was a lot, and how good it was for everybody in OnPassive, those founding members that are participating and getting ready for the global launch of OnPassive, that explosion into the world and lives changing. We're in a really, really good place. So that's it for today, guys. Have a great weekend, and yeah, we're going to see you at the top. Take care.